The crew work incredibly hard to film an episode of Doctor Who, but when the cameras have finished recording, there is still an enormous amount of work left to do.
I don't think any show on television goes through the transformation that Doctor Who does in its post-production.
As soon as the camera stops, the first thing that gets done is I sort of jump into the edit suite, really, and we start to put things together.
The job of the editor is to go through all the material the director shoots, finding the best performances, the best storytelling, and basically bring it all together to make a good scene, which then goes into making a good show.
We're sort of rebirthing the story in a way, you know, finding out what actually the nitty-gritty of the story is and getting down to that, and really honing that over quite a number of weeks, really, and quite a number of versions.
Where's Rory?
Didn't like me wearing my engagement ring when I put it back.
We should go back for him.
Nah, he knows we're up here.
This is the scene now that we've cut out.
He dawdles. He's always been a dawdler. And anyway, I wanted to ask.
I think episode 8, when we first cut it together, was about 60 minutes long, wasn't it? And obviously we're looking at a running time of about 45 minutes, so we had to lose 15 minutes, more or less a quarter of all the stuff we'd shot in the 2 weeks we get given to shoot it. So we had to find 15 minutes of material in what was a fairly tightly packed story anyway and pull that stuff out.
Me and Rory on the hillside. Future us. That's good, right? That happens. We get a happy ever after.
As things stand in this time stream, time's not fixed, so things might change.
I mean, that particular scene was quite long, and actually, I actually shot it in a very nice trekking shot as they walked away, and it just went on for too long. Bottom line, and we just couldn't afford. You know, we were over length anyway.
Yeah, I see your point.
But yes, I like him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really lovely scene, actually. I loved the colours in it, and I loved the look of it, and I thought Karen and Matt were brilliant in it, you know, and it was a really nicely written scene. But at that point in the story, we wanted to get to the whole. We wanted to find out what the next step in that mystery was, and therefore probably a minute and a half of screen time of them talking about their relationship with Rory wasn't particularly relevant to the plot at that point. It was lovely stuff, but it wasn't relevant to the story, so it, unfortunately, it had to come out.
Sorry, it's just a bit difficult controlling your nerves when the night before your wedding goes on for months, especially when the cold's getting at your legs. Did I mention? Dress for Rio!
As soon as we're kind of happy within the time restraints we have with a cut of the story, we then show it to producers, executive producers, the writers sometimes, you know, and they then give us feedback. I think on episode 8 we probably went through, how many versions? Is it 13 versions we got there?
Yeah.
So you know, it's a real honing process, and it's good to get everyone's kind of objective viewpoint, you know, so that we're all working towards making the strongest programme.
What do we do now?
That process takes 3-4 weeks. Once that's done, then it goes off in various directions as a programme. It's split everywhere.
So next, it's off to visual effects company The Mill, where they add all the computer-generated images.
At the end of episode 8, the Silurian city is revealed. It's a sort of classic matte painting, which is, you know, one of the main areas of work we do on Doctor Who to create environments that don't exist. Matte will be shot against a big green screen with a partial set, and we will then go and set about creating the under-Earth city of the Silurians to try and match the concept that's been approved. Aside from making the large majority of the visual effects in the new Doctor Who series, we also grade the programmes as well, and that involves one of our colourists sitting down for 2 days, generally an episode, adding the kind of look and balancing out all the colour in the picture for an episode.
So what we have here is an end sequence in the TARDIS, and if I just run 3 shots together, we have this shot, the next shot is ungraded, and that's straight out of the camera, and then this shot is graded. So my job now is to make this scene here fit in with the other shots around it. So if I start, and if I just put some contrast in first, and just make the picture start to look a bit more interesting. Maybe this is about right, but the only problem we've got here now is that over on the left-hand side of the screen, where the doctor and his assistant are coming into shot, we can't really see them. So here I can start drawing shapes on the screen. Now, if you can imagine doing all this with your Photoshop at home and wondering how quickly this is responding, I now have to hide this because I don't want anybody to see what I've done here. So using some of these tools here, so we can now run that. So if I just run the shot to make sure it looks okay, it's starting to feel right. I can see what's going on, and the whole point of this shot is they're coming in. We can give it quite a different look. We can really change the mood, because the original image was this, so we can change it an awful amount. So we can just sort of play this now and say, do we like it? Do we think this is going to say the right thing? Yeah, I think we could probably go with this.
I'm in my nightie.
With sound, once the picture's completed, the sound boys come into the girls come into the edit suite, and we sit and we watch the entire episode, and we decide what sound effects we want where and what those sound effects should be.
Sound is incredibly important in Doctor Who. Just the noises of places, the noise. It's no longer clunking wooden sets, it's metal corridors or it's stone corridors.
I'm a Foley artist, and we have to replace all the physical sounds for the whole programme. It's basically replacing everything to add to the finished product, and for when it's sold to other countries and the dialogue's removed and their own language is dubbed on.
Well, I'm the sound effects editor on Doctor Who. Sound effects are all the extra things, the additional things that we put into the show. The background sounds, you have to create atmospheres to make you believe you're in these locations. Things like punches, the sonic screwdriver, explosions, all the juicy bits, really, all the additional bits that the sound didn't exist on location. I add all those in.
Well, for the soil, when the character gets dragged down by the Silurians, what we've got, the soil's quite difficult to do because it doesn't actually make very much noise on its own. So we've got it on a big cloth, and that it sort of enables you to get more volume out of it.
When David Tennant left the show last Christmas, he took the TARDIS with him. It was in a bad state, and so now we've got a new TARDIS, it's regenerated, and with the regeneration comes a new set of sounds. Out has gone the creaky door for the TARDIS. He's finally oiled it after all these years. It's not altogether new because I've got access to the Radiophonic Workshop archive, and I thought, well, it looks to me more like some of the older TARDISes, maybe. So I've got a sound in there that is one of the background sounds that was used in the 70s and 80s. This is what it sounds like altogether. But that's the old radiophonic sound. It's just one element. If you play them together, you may not hear it, but I know it's there. And that's it by itself again now.
With the TARDIS door, Paul, the effects editor, will have laid the sound of a specially created sound for a TARDIS door. So what we do is we're just sort of adding the physical, an extra element. So if the Doctor touches it, and just something for the latch on it that will go with the other effects and be mixed together in the dub.
Well, that was quick.
We don't always use the same object because we may not have access to it, and also sometimes things don't make the sound you expect them to. The actual physical object may make no noise, but you want it to make a specific noise, so you have to add to it or just improvise.
Can't be. It is. It's you two.
No, we're here. How can we be up there?
Sonic!
Well, the new Doctor's got a new screwdriver, so we're using a vice, which has got lots of nice clicky bits on it, but it's good for the handling. But sometimes you do need to add another element to it just to make it easier to use.
Good thought, but no, it doesn't. Hear that? Drilling starter mode. Afterwaves of a recent seismological shift in blue grass.
And again, all the beeps and technical sounds will be put on afterwards, so it's just for the handling.
The sonic screwdriver on location doesn't actually make a sound.
No.
It would get in the way of the dialogue. I put the sonic screwdriver sound in here, and I use this synthesizer. And so every time the Doctor uses it, I will make a new sound. I can make it maybe a bit higher frequency. I'll bend the sound. That's if he moves it around. If you don't change the sound, it doesn't sound like he's moving it around.
Restricted access. No unauthorised personnel.
It's breaking an entry.
Where did I break? Sonicking an entry. Totally different.
That was great. We just missed Amy's hand on the gate.
And one of the best parts of the job is that you know that millions of people are watching it. I remember doing the stomping sound for the Cybermen. And then in the school playground, I saw a kid pretending to be a Cyberman going, stomp, stomp, stomp. That's my sound, you know, the kids are reenacting my sound because, you know, Doctor Who's that big, it's that good.
Suddenly the Doctor changes in appearance, becoming younger looking, with a wider nose and more prominent chin.
But sound effects aren't the only audio added to the episode. Before transmission, the programme goes off to an audio describer.
Audio description is basically an additional narrative track for blind and visually impaired viewers. It basically gives a whole extra layer of detail. When it arrives to us, we attach the clip to our audio description software, and from there we watch the programme bit by bit and find spaces in the dialogue that we think could do with an added layer of descriptions, so you can give blind and visually impaired viewers the full Doctor Who experience. It's very different from something like EastEnders. EastEnders might have 40 descriptions and you're going from, you know, in the Vic, in the CAF. Whereas Doctor Who, you've got a whole array of things to describe. As an audio describer, it's quite a challenge. So you've got everything from costumes, you know, for the Doctor, hairstyles and things, right up to the most elaborate creatures that you come across, things like skin texture, their movement, if they've got one head, many heads, many mouths, many eyes, all that sort of thing. Because it's so unusual, it's quite important to get that across, because that's part of the charm of Doctor Who.
A tape will be delivered in from various sources. It will be put into these FlexiCarts, and we will then start to record onto our system. From this centre, it goes to Television Centre. From Television Centre, it then goes to the BT Tower, and then from BT Tower, it goes into your homes.
We've got our clip, which today is a Doctor Who trail.
We've got helicopter ident. We've put that into our system, and now we're going to run it down with a continuity announcement as we would the programme when it goes to air. So that's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cut. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Now, BBC One, here's
4,
a sneak preview
3,
of the new series
2,
of Doctor Who.
1, cut.
Who are you?
I'm the Doctor.
Doctor Who?
I'm so looking forward to sitting at home and watching it as a viewer. Nothing beats the experience of actually seeing it go out live. It's extremely exciting. Of course, we will actually still be working on the series, and we don't actually finish the series until about 3 weeks before we start the next series. So there won't really be a point where we sit down and relax, but we will certainly sit down and enjoy it.